All right, we are live. Hi, everyone. I am very excited to host Sasha Belitskaja, co-founder of iHeartblog. And if if you have checked out iHeartblog, like I love the projects they have developed. Like it's very radical and state-of-the-art work. So I really admire their work, and I'm very excited to know more about the journey. Thanks a lot, Sasha, to be on the show.
Thanks for having me. I'm really excited.
Yeah. So, Sasha, can you share like some highlights from your career till date? How you started from undergraduate to this date?
Yeah, sure. So I studied architecture bachelor at University of Dundee in Scotland, and it was quite a traditional approach to architecture. So kind of hand-drawn drawings, planning, permission, stuff like this. And at some point, it wasn't enough. So I wanted to pursue something more experimental and radical. So I went to study masters at University of Applied Arts in Vienna at Studio Gregling. And there I started discovering more about the immersive technologies, computational design, and stuff like this. So it was a very kind of big range of innovative tools that I was exposed to, and I was really I got really interested in the extended reality. And at that point, me and my two colleagues formed iheartblob in Studio Berlin. We started. At some point, education wasn't enough, so we wanted to explore something together, like research projects, competitions, like what's in there for architecture. And we started as everydays actually on Instagram. It was kind of a big thing back then. And it was kind of like a tool of exploration for us as researchers, architects, students, to explore these ideas in a format of one-day projects. So it was a very quick turnaround, design, render, and write a piece of theoretical text and share it with the community, get feedback, and just continue kind of on a repeat. So that was a really cool kind of charrette approach to projects and our practice, and we kind of kept it up till now. Over the years, we kind of got opportunities to exhibit at some museums, do invited exhibitions, some paid projects, and yeah, we kind of moved more into like bigger projects. So like urban kind of art public pieces with technology with it. So a typical project would be an installation, a colorful installation like a beacon, where people come towards it and they're able to take the phone out, scan it, and see additional content. So trying to bridge the gap between architecture and technology, that would be our statement, I would say.
I
That's
see.
where
Like
we are now.
that's quite interesting. And like I was checking out your work, and your interest was also lies in like in gaming technology, computer graphics. So I'm curious to know what's your design philosophy.
Yeah, I was exploring this in a lot of detail during my master's for my kind of diploma project, the final project. So my idea was, or my thesis was, that we don't need a master architect anymore. Like the community knows what it wants itself, we just need to provide tools for it. So what I've done is design a multiplayer game environment for people to design cities, for non-architects to design cities. And yeah, at the final stage, it was at the point where I was able to do a testing of 3 people, non-architects. It was a graphic designer, a publicist, and a fashion designer, I think. And they were able to use my tool and to actually design these shapes. And the cool thing about the gaming technology was actually I was able to control what tools they would be using. and introduce this logic of decision making, like real-time decision making. So one person was able to create a shape or delete a shape, not only his shape, but other people's shape. So in theory, the majority would win always, which I think would work the best. It's kind of like a real-time voting thing on design. And yeah, I believe this gaming philosophy works very well within architecture discourse, especially now with the AR, VR, NFTs, and this desire to get rid of the master architect.
I see. And can you please elaborate on the implementation, like what were the software and tools you used?
Yeah. So I used Unity as a gaming engine, and for the multiplayer, I tried various systems, and it was never stable enough. So in the end, I finalized it on using Photon, and again, it did not work as the same in the same kind of environment all the time. So it was not consistent, but it worked.
Nice. And also, like, it's a thesis project, so you have like time constraint and resource constraint.
Yeah. Definitely. But it worked as a prototype, so that was the main point, kind of like a MVP.
I see. And can you share, like, how was your learning journey into this mixed reality systems? Like, how did you prepare yourself?
Yeah. So we were introduced actually at Studio Greg, like with this 1-week workshop into Unity and Vuforia. And it was, it was very intense. It was really hard to actually comprehend when you not thought of this before. So like it was early 2016. And yeah, it was very early doors. It was HoloLens 1 kind of era. And yeah, it was quite slow, kind of rough start. Like it's not like something you can start using at that time. So the way we kind of went into it, we decided, okay, we want to explore what is there for architecture in there, like what is the potential. So we decided, okay, we'll take this approach of everydays and we will apply it in with this augmented reality tool set. So we decided, okay, we're going to do one app every day, like one project every day, post it on Instagram, write a theoretical text. So the same kind of workflow, but with AR and Unity. And it was a pretty amazing kind of result, because at first we weren't fast, like it would take a while to make something, but in the end you learn a lot, and you learn the limitations, and you learn what the possibilities are, the materiality, shaders, stuff like this. So yes, in the end it was working very well. And of course, over the years technology evolved, especially in AR. And yeah, we tested a lot of different packages for augmented reality, Vuforia, Wikitude, Air Foundation, even, yeah, we started doing Spark AR or Lens. So whatever technology is there, we are testing it and seeing how it can be implemented in architecture.
Yeah, and like I must admit, when I was going through the projects of Iheartblog, like you guys are very experimental in the approach. You're always trying and testing new things. So what has been the most challenging part about these developments?
Well, probably definitely would be the back-end challenges, as we are all designers and architects. And yeah, we didn't start studying with this mindset of developer and coders, which I think is an advantage. But still, it is a very steep learning curve for people with this more designer kind of mindset.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, backend was always kind of hardest part for us, especially if it's something something we've not done before, and it's something that has to work right. So yeah, we had a few projects, applications where it would be something connected with the cloud system or like uploading images. So stuff like this is always hard, but eventually we kind of figure things out as the community online is really good.
Got it. And for a particular project, like how is the ideas and brainstorming session look like?
Mm-hmm. Well, yes. So usually it's, yeah, as you can imagine, as a brainstorm is like throwing ideas out there, finding reference images, or like what we think the project should look like, what it should do. And we always try to, in all new projects, we try to implement something we are interested in at that moment. So as an example, right now, a hot topic is NFTs, and it's also a hot topic for us. And we're really interested in theoretical implementations for architects and for industry. So for the latest project, which we designed was TAB 2022, where we actually took second place, but we, the full conceptual idea was having an NFT approach to design. So again, with the gamification and everything, we wanted to provide this app to people which would design blocks. So there would be simple kind of voxel design blocks. So they would design and they would mint it. And this way they would also pay for it. So it would be crowdfunded, and they would hold value of that block. So eventually when the pavilion would be built, it would be owned by multiple people. It would be designed by multiple people, which they also would be able to hold value and be able to be resold. Yeah.
That's super interesting. Like I'm following a similar project where they are using NFT to start a coffee chain from the fundraise through the in the treasury. Yeah. So what stage are you in that project? It's super interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, so we lost the competition, but we are looking into other ways to kind of fund it. So we still need to develop the platform if we want to proceed, and yeah, find a place where to actually execute it. But we're in the process of talking with a few museums and organizations, but let's hope it will be built.
I think like it's a great idea, and like it would be amazing if we can build. And offline, I think we should definitely chat about it, because our architecture DAO would be interested in some collaboration, but that's another topic.
Sure.
So my last question before we go on to the detailed journey is, a lot of these technologies like with AR, VR, and also with NFT, how do you deal with technological barrier and awareness aspect and education aspect?
So you mean if we don't know something, how you learn?
Or not for you, for the community. Like if they don't know, like how do you teach them? Yeah.
Oh, right. Well, social media is a good tool for raising awareness of these new technologies. So it's a good point that not many people know what NFT is still, and it's could get quite confusing. Like, why does an image or something hold value? You can just download it, right? So it does get tricky, but I think if you keep speaking about it and sharing your knowledge and projects, eventually it will get adopted as anything, as AR is getting adopted right now by the masses.
Got it. Yeah. And I think this is a great time to go to do a deep dive about what is how iHeartBlob started.
Yeah, just gonna share my screen. Can you see it?
Yep.
So I might just scroll through some slides, as I already talked a lot about it. But yes, these are us three co-founders, me, Sean, and Ben. Yes, we started in our studio during our masters, where we pretended we had an office at our desks. And yes, we started with 100 everydays, which quickly grew out 1,000 and counting. And at some point, yes, one of the seasons, we explored these hyper-realistic, but at the same time, these surreal architectural forms. So we're really interested in rendering and architectural abstract forms. Let's see. Oh yeah, we're also interested in AI technologies, and at some point we designed so many objects that we decided to train an AI on them. That's what came out. It's quite blurry, but it's a start. So maybe in the future we don't need to design anything. Let's see.
That's quite interesting.
Yeah. And these are the augmented reality pieces we deployed in the streets in different cities around the world. And this set is quite early, I think 2016, where actually it was quite funny. AR was still really early, so it would only work with a tracker, right? So we would have to hold a tracker first to initiate AR, and then quickly take the tracker away, so it would appear as if it's there. So it was kind of like tricking the technology. And yes, we started exploring also Spark AR and Lens Studio and what it becomes when our face becomes the initial geometry. And it's also architecture, as not everybody will agree, but we think it is. And more like kind of recent and more serious projects, if you may say, have some physical manifestation to it as well. One of them is Blob House in Vancouver, and it was a house shape, which people were able to scan and see these 2D ornaments come into life in 3D, basically. So that was quite a cool location, just in front of this museum, this colorful house.
It's beautiful.
But it was quite interesting. Wish we could have seen it in real life, but it was pandemic. And yeah, the interesting thing that the way we designed it is we had to kind of unwrap the house shape and design in 3D first. So it was all three-dimensional, it had depth, and then we rendered it, so it became 2D, which is limitations of the project. So we only could print on paper. But nevertheless, it did have some sort of this 2D aesthetic, that this depth, which did become 3D in AR. So we think it's a quite big potential for architecture.
So like this project was in Canada and you guys were in Europe. So like how did the prototype happen and how did you translate that there?
Yeah, it's quite tricky, especially with augmented reality, because you can never actually know the end result unless you're there with the physical object. So yeah, we did not have the physical object. So what we had to do, we actually printed this little house, kind of like the shape, so proportions were right. And what we were doing would print as well, like the tracker, put it on top and try to scan it. So your phone would think it's like, it doesn't really matter the proportions for the phone as long as it kind of fits within the screen and it can read the tracker. So it worked quite well. So
I see.
And I think these are some videos from which the organizers took for us on the spot. So yeah, we could explore these kind of the depth, the fake depth, when there's actually no depth concepts, and a lot of animating parts. So that was quite interesting. Also a similar project, also in Canada, noodle feed, where these noodles were kind of, they held like a function of a rearrangeable furniture, basically. So these kids and people were able to rearrange them. They're actually filled with hay, so so kids would just jump on them, hang around. And we had this augmented reality application with it, where people were able to kind of draw and take pictures and upload it into this kind of cloud of memories. So we kind of had this idea that people would go to this place, take pictures, share the memories, and see what other people uploaded. So it was kind of like this 3-dimensional Instagram, but also localized in that area.
Interesting.
So that's a kind of short video how it worked. It was quite cold as well, but the hay kept you warm. Okay. But
So
eventually kids destroyed it.
Like, I'm curious to know, like, how do you keep the feedback loop about your implementation? So let's say you had the intent for kids, and what if like a lot of adults like that implementation, and like how do you get feedback and improve it in the next project?
Well, we were actually there, so we were able to see how people were behaving, and there was a lot of like unexpected behaviors, which was really cool. Like people were super involved, like they really wanted to move them around, like put them into shades, like yeah, they were really doing it, making them into a furniture. So I think that was, and actually we did not really think that people would jump onto them. So that was really unexpected. And it was really fun. We tried it as well. It was quite interesting. So I guess the learning curve would be that sometimes like your users find these unexpected uses. I reckon that would be the lesson we took away from it. Well, if you want a quick demo, you can scan this for a quick AR. It just visualizes this kind of arch. And this is another project, and it's also in Canada. I'm not sure why there's so many in Canada. So it's Iheartblog.
Maybe Iheartblog should have a remote office in Canada.
I think we're to do. I mean, we have to. So this is also a kind of public art installation with augmented reality. And yes, in this case, we used trackers as a kind of AR initiator. So these arches so that's the construction of them. It's quite big, I think 10 meters, if I'm not mistaken, height. But the cool thing is that we were able to help the contractors in Canada to place these kind of colorful ornaments with AR. So we're gonna send them this filter, which they were able to put QR code and have the location of these ornaments, like as they're quite simple and symmetrical. We were able to kind of communicate with them across the ocean this way.
I have a question. So when you say about tracker in an element, are there like So one is QR based geo tracker. So what are some, and I see in this in this project you have like dynamic interaction and animation. So is it that like independent of like location, or like how do you code that?
Well, in this case, as it's image trackers, so it doesn't matter of the location. It's your camera kind of always needs to look at the tracker to be able to initiate the content. So you basically overlay your image with the animated content on top. So, and it's either playing all the time when it sees the tracker, or based on location, if you're close or not, or if you're inside the trigger system. So yeah, there are different ways, but in this case, it was playing as soon as it scanned the tracker.
Nice. And you define it in Unity that once you detect this object, do this like code.
Yeah, to be honest, with AR packages, it's quite simple because it's already pre-coded for you. It doesn't matter which package you choose, because image tracker is one of the most basic AR systems. So it would be quite, you wouldn't need to like overcode anything just to make it appear being animated.
Got it.
I'll do this. This was one of the invited exhibitions in Vienna in Magazine Gallery, where we basically had the full kind of gallery to do whatever we wanted. So we decided to have this mixed reality content along with these huge inflatables, which were inflating and deflating during the exhibition. And we had these interactive application and real-time animation as well. So it was quite fun and interactive and involved the people there in all aspects. So we had the physical, digital, and yeah, something in between. That was one of the kind of most fun shows in person where people were allowed to come and touch the technology. And I guess one of the coolest thing for me was to have these stickers on the wall. I'm gonna find more detailed, which were communicating directly in AR. So if you see here, so there's some sort of pattern here which would correspond directly in AR, making this illusion of going in and out. So kind of this depth that it wasn't there. So that was one of the kind of approaches to architecture we can take away.
So basically, the camera scans the image, and for all the dark spots, it does extrusions to create the illusion of depth.
Yes, pretty much. And yeah, that's how actually camera sees the world. It sees it in contrasts. So that's why the pattern was so crazy with lots of dots. So the camera would be able to see it even in this badly lit space.
Yeah, I must admit that this graphic of like buildings with that animation, it kind of it gives me a feeling of very interesting metaverse.
Totally. Metaverse before it was metaverse.
Yeah.
Another kind of entry to a gallery which was rendered real time. It was one of the very early animations we done in Unity, and that's when we kind of had this revelation that, oh my God, it's so fast and effortless doing real-time animations. Why would we bother with rendering it in Octane or Viri? So we were really impressed with this kind of HDRP system in Unity.
Which year was this in?
2017, I would say.
Oh.
And this also, we kind of pre-coded some behaviors for these blobs. So some of them would like follow one another, and some of them would make sound when they collided with certain objects. So it was really cool and unexpected, like also with the sound output in the end. That was kind of another piece from the same exhibition. kind of, you know, how they all have these different behaviors, but they all float around, interact with each other, and yeah, kind of this ecosystem of blobs just floating around.
Like you have a very unique aesthetic style. Like, what do you call this style?
I'm not sure if it has a name. I like to refer it like digital surrealism or the new digital age or something like this. So yeah, we go for kind of complementary colors, bright, something recognizable. Yeah, another cool project is our book, which we published recently, or a year ago or 2 years ago, which also has an augmented reality experience to go with it. So the book has 300 first kind of objects we designed. And I think around 20 of them are scannable. You don't particularly know which ones have AR content. Like it's quite subtle. Like you would get like a colored line whenever there's an object which is scannable. So you don't like, it's not in your face. So the thing with the app is to kind of find these objects as a game. There's like a counter, how many you scanned and how many is left. So it was a fun experience. Yeah, it is.
Like gamified reading.
Pretty much. And we really wanted to introduce this app as like to go with the book, as you know, like you can see a physical book being in some way archaic, like dying out as everything is being digital. So we wanted to keep it kind of more up to date. So with the application, we're able to update it whenever we want. It's not like we need to reprint the book. And yeah, I think that's a quick video of the AR app. So all different objects have different types of interactions. So you can either click, kind of zoom in, zoom out, play with it. Sometimes it's not 3D at all. Sometimes it's just a video or it has the fake depth. And yeah, you just need to kind of go and explore it. Differentiators. So
And like when I was following the launch of the book, and I was so much like impressed by the work you have developed in this. And when I just had a thought, like currently we have like a book as a product model, but a book could be as a service model where you could like, since it's already online, you could like upgrade models with new version and like make it like a lifelong service.
Yeah, it's a really cool idea. So it will be like a never-ending education system. So you just pay it once. That was really interesting. And yeah, another aspect of our work would be educational projects. So we do get involved quite a lot. So I think that this one was one of the very first workshops we've done in Prague University for architects, where we taught them ZBrush and AR. And this was really fun. And yeah, we just continued. And I think this was last year, we developed this online course, also AR for architects. So students were making kind of this simple app with maybe 3 scenes where they were able to scan or just rotate around the object. And yeah, it looked like this, scan, super simple. very simple interface, but it kind of gives you this basic introduction to get into the app development, because it's not as scary as it seems.
Mhm.
Oh, I guess this is a place where I say that's where we continue working on these kind of competition submissions and urban arts, kind of urban public art projects. And this is our kind of spaces, which is we minted this city, decentralized city, as an NFT, but you're also able to visit it in the browser. So this is what happens when you go into the spaces.iheartblob.com. You can rotate around it, see it animated. You press here on this person running, and it initiates the first person experience. So you're able to walk around and just explore the city, and you see all this animated content. We went for this cartoonish aesthetics, which we really like. But yes, the idea was to create this space in a city, which is digital but designed by architects, but also minted in a blockchain that you're able to own and resell as a digital space. So it's almost not even a new idea anymore, but I haven't seen it being implemented as much. So you know how like in the pandemic, everyone had these meetings, everything is on Zoom, and there have been so many these VR spaces popping up, but not many of them are designed at all, or I haven't even seen like anyone being commissioned to design a space for like a special event. So I think it'd be a really good opportunity for architects to tap that market, to actually design these spaces for virtual events, as we have the knowledge and we have the skill, and don't let the game designers, for example, to overtake it, as they do have a very completely different approach to designer spaces.
Yeah, and I must say I love it, and like it's such a important concept, like, and it's need. So when you mint it, you mint the whole city, or you mint different spaces, like there's different NFT elements for different spaces?
We did mint the full kind of city.
Okay.
But yeah, that's a really important kind of idea for us. And these are some snapshots from Unity, how like these spaces kind of are animated. And yeah, more atmospheric shots. We also did mint some AR objects as well, so directly on Nuke, where you're able to deploy them right in the browser. So web AR is really important and very cool as well. Like eventually, I think we're gonna get rid of apps and software, and everything's gonna be web-based.
Mm-hmm.
And we are here for it.
You're prepared already.
Yeah.
And one thing on the minting side is like, first of all, like knowing how to mint is important, and like what are some blockchains which are more sustainable, which are less sustainable, but also like how do you build a community and a following, because you need also a collector or someone to buy your artwork. So
yeah, that's a very good question. And I found, like in my personal experience, that for example, like if your community was on Instagram, they're not necessarily going to follow your NFT journey. So you would just need to kind of communicate with the people who are experienced and kind of follow the crowd, you know, where the people are. And they happen to be on Twitter and Discord, which is also, I'm there for it. Like I haven't used Twitter as much before, and I didn't really know the benefits of it very well. But now I do believe it's an amazing tool for the creators, designers, NFT artists. So yeah, you just need to kind of build your almost a new community if you have to.
Mm-hmm.
But also it's not new. It's kind of like you find someone the same, but you wouldn't have found them other way. But they're still also designers, architects, and artists. So I'm really happy that I did kind of move on from the kind of Instagram for the NFTs. This is our NFT fungible, non-fungible pavilion for TAB. It was a physical model, kind of illustrating these 3D blocks that people would design, and they would be put together and owned by different people.
So this is the competition you were applying, yeah.
And this is kind of a prototype for the minting platform or design platform, where you kind of need to have your wallet, you design your block, and you mint it, and that's basically job done. Your own part of it. This is quite a recent kind of workshop for BPro we've done, and this was one of our students' work, Jill and Jangju. And the point of this workshop was to introduce to Cinema 4D and NFTs. So we wanted to mint it in the end of this architectural animated loops. So I think it was quite successful, and all students done incredible work. And yeah, it was quite short, 1 week, but the results were impressive.
I'm so happy that you're doing workshops and spreading more awareness about the NFT and showing the whole process. Like I hardly see any like voice advocating for this in architecture.
Yeah, it's definitely, architecture is always kind of behind.
Yeah.
Somehow it's like, it's too traditional. And I guess that's one of the last slides. What we're kind of doing right now, we are working on these urban public art installations, projects, and commissions, and digital commissions, as well as NFTs and NFT projects.
It was a great walkthrough. Like I'm just awed by the amount of cool projects you have. Like not only like it has its own purpose and aesthetics. Great job.
Thank you.
So my question would be, like having such kind of an experimental studio, I'm curious to know, how do you handle like the business and finance side of it? Because a lot of time competitions, like you get a grant or not, but you also need to survive financially. Like how do you deal?
Yeah, still we're figuring it out with the financial side, but the key is to actually keep track of things, and yeah, don't put aside these things that's not necessarily the most exciting part, but yeah, don't keep it up.
Yeah, it's challenging to figure out that right model, and also you need a particular amount of following and name in the market to get like regular projects.
Exactly. But being active on social media does help, I think, in all industries. It's just like being out there, people know you, and they would come with projects to you.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of marketing for architects is not being taught very well, but you just need to learn it on the way.
For sure. And who are some artists you follow or you resonate with?
Well, I follow a lot. And I wouldn't want to say anyone in particular, but probably one of the biggest inspirations for us for me was People, like in 2016, where he was keeping up this moment of everydays. And I think it's this philosophy of no matter what, you need to kind of produce something today. And I think having this constant deadline every day is very important and actually inspiring. I think that's kind of like what keeps up the progress. Like if you do 1% every day, it's still better than nothing, you know. I think that's what inspired me in him.
I see. So like what do you do when you want some vacation?
Well, then you need to plan ahead and
do more on previous days.
Do it in advance.
I see.
It's also like time management, like in anything. Like if you want, you decide, you need to do it.
Got it. Yeah. And what's your strategy for work-life balance then?
Well, it's interesting, but a lot of things I do for fun. Like an NFT side of things is definitely, I wouldn't say it's work, even maybe it is. But there's a lot of things I do, like what I want and what I enjoy. I do a lot of modeling, rendering, stuff like I wouldn't do for work. Like it doesn't really bring money and first kind of iteration, but I do it, and yeah, I always should rest when I need. So yeah, stuff like that. But it's important to keep balance between of those, even if it's not easy in architecture or architecture school. I would say probably the most stressful time of architecture career.
I see. And what is your vision for Iheartblog for 2025?
2025. Yeah. So probably having consistent amount of projects. We do want to also be more important in academia, so we want to pursue that side as well. So having a studio in architecture school would be great, as long as having these constant kind of flow of projects where we can actually manifest our ideas and technologies we're interested in. That would be it. And an NFT collection, that would be it.
Iheartblog NFT, metaverse NFT collection would be awesome. Yeah.
Yes.
And if you have like unlimited time and resources right now, what else would you like to do?
NFTs.
You're very strong on NFT. I see that.
I am. Yeah, but probably exploring more into the metaverse idea and what it holds for architects and kind of human behavior in architecture environment. That would be really cool. Also, maybe research haptics, like, you know, how does it feel? Like, are you able to feel things physically? I think that's the missing component of augmented reality, apart from maybe a smell. That's the two things would be worth exploring if there was unlimited resources.
I see. And I would like to know your thoughts on like this issue, which is not being addressed like well in our industry. So like women in tech are very less, and women in AEC tech is more and more rare. So like what can we do better, or what are the ways we can like get more onboarding?
Yeah, it's a very good question, because the issue is there, and it's actually quite funny because I did work for a few years like in architecture firms with the computational designers, and there's a lot of women out there. They're just not at the front lines, or they're just not getting represented. So whenever you see someone talking about the technology, it's usually the person is the man who is the manager or someone like that. So I think women are there, but they're behind, which I think a correct way to do it would be encouraging them to stand up and to participate. And at some point, maybe have kind of like almost a quota for like 50-50 women and men. And if it doesn't meet your quota, you just need to dig deeper because women are there and they have things to say.
Yeah, definitely. And like, I think you pointed out also, like in conferences or in panel discussion, like that representation is like many times missing.
No, exactly. I've seen it so many times, and like kind of on these conferences, you always see the same people presenting, and they're the men in the industry who have the, I don't know, the history of these talks, and they always kind of say similar things. So at some point, the organizers of these conferences, they need to say, okay, we want to invite your company, but someone else needs to speak.
Yeah.
I think it would be the kind of almost like responsibility of the organizers to deal with it, because it's really hard to see how else this could be fixed. So I would say like a very harsh percentage, 50-50, and yeah, that could help.
So like one is representation on like public events, but also like how can we get like from computational designers to coders, like that transition, and also like maybe having their own company startups, like are there how can we do, like is there mentoring required or like other kind of workshops?
I think definitely mentoring, but personally for myself, I found, if I see a woman doing this kind of talk or presentation, you can relate much more rather than if it's a male person. So I would encourage having these communities of female-orientated kind of computational designers who do the talks and teaching, because like sometimes teaching from a male perspective is completely different than from a female perspective. So yeah, I think it's much more relatable when it's a female, and like you kind of think in your head like as a parallel, like okay, it's possible, like if she can do it, I can do it.
Yeah. And also like if you have a role model, like you can relate so much more, like, and like I face this sometimes, like if you are in a minority in a conference, like it's not that easy sometimes to gel up with all the people there. So it's also like we need that easy bridge.
No, definitely. I think it would help, like actually representation. It does help.
Yeah. And so I know like there is like women in BIM Twitter handle and like organization, but I haven't come across any like women in AC tech or like women as AC coders. So it would be good to have that platform too, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. Like being active on social media about this matter also does help. So yeah.
Yeah. So my last section is about like advice to people and students. So what is your from all your experience in profession and at Iheartblog, if someone is interested in AR and mixed reality space, what is your piece of advice in terms of technical aspect as well as startup aspect?
Well, I think the best advice would be to just start, like don't be scared of it. And there's so many resources online. You just basically need to put it in Google, how to make my first AR app, and it will be there. Just follow the steps. It will be one day of pain and then it will be easy, I promise. There's loads of, I think, free workshops on this matter as well. So AR, VR, especially right now with the Oculus Quest being so accessible, it's also started being very popular. So there's a lot of resources online, and it's not as hard as it seems. Like if you've never touched coding before, like if you want a very basic app, sometimes you don't even need to touch coding, because with the gaming engines and visual scripting, it's all adapted, or like all these gaming engines are getting adapted to the artists, to designers, to creators, that they don't need to go into this back end. So I think that's, you just need to start.
Yeah, like also like awareness about what's available out there, what are the libraries you can integrate instead of like doing it from scratch, like initially builds up the confidence that, okay, we can implement this.
Yeah. I think right now, Wikitude, maybe it's a very good platform, and they have this license for students, so you can just start right away. Vuforia is always great. And they also have some starter kind of packets. Even Unity, I think, have some, the AR package is not as advanced as others, but it's simple and it would do the purpose. And of course, Spark AR, if you want something fun and simple to visualize your building your object, it's really simple to just, you can build it within like 5 minutes. And they have starter packs.
Yeah, and one thing, like I was looking at Spark here, they have sometimes like creator grant for like, or hackathons also to get started or like meet other like-minded people.
Exactly. No, that's a really cool part, that they put so much kind of attention and to involve the community. And when they do that, you're gonna see the potential of what's possible. So I think that's great. And architecture is still quite untapped, I would say, in this space. So there's still loads of opportunities.
I see. And I'll wrap up the interview with a rapid fire question. So you'll have like 10 seconds to answer, and like gotta make it brief. So it's let's do this. So which city is in your travel bucket list?
Tokyo.
I see. Your favorite movie?
Oh my goodness. No reservations.
No reservation. Any book which made a big impact in your life?
So many, but most of them are sci-fi, so and they're all Russian. So. Yeah, wouldn't.
You don't recall any one particular book
No,
from that sci-fi collection? No,
I read too much, to be honest. I don't have a favorite though.
I see. Your role model?
Oh, that's hard. Oh, you got me on the spot. Let's say Elon Musk. Can't think of anyone else.
See, what's your favorite restaurant?
Bagamamas.
And where is it?
It's a chain restaurant in the UK.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And how does a day in your life look like?
Get up, go to work, make breakfast, go to work, and along the day do some NFTs, modeling, research, lots of inspiration from social media, I would say, in terms of graphics and aesthetics. Write down ideas, what I want to do. lots of writing, and yeah, go more walks and get back home.
I see. Is iHeartBlob planning to write the next book?
We're thinking about it.
I guess it would be NFTs.
So don't encourage us.
I see. Which city's culture you like the most?
Glasgow.
Glasgow. If like I would ask this first. Like, what are your hobbies?
I would say mostly digital arts at the moment, a big thing. So like VR modeling, sketching, digital painting. So all relations to that, and reading. That would be two main ones.
I see. And is there anything in your career or your project you wish you would have done differently?
No.
No?
No.
I see. And lastly, like, is there anything which we didn't cover in this interview, but you'd like to share the message?
No, I think it's quite clear. I think if you want to do something, just go for it. And I would say doing the kind of minimum every day, or like 1% better every day, would eventually be a huge difference.
Nice. And if people are interested in collaboration or research, or they have more questions, like what's the best way to reach out to you?
Probably on social media, so either on Twitter or Instagram. I'm quite active.
Awesome. Okay, thanks a lot, Sasha. It was a great session. Like, I admire all of your projects, and it was a great time. Like, I learned a lot.
Thank you so much for having me. You're a great interviewer.
Thank you. Hopefully, when you come to Canada next time, or US, we'd like to chat about. Yeah.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah.